Hi, thanks for joining us today for the Controllers Council Jargon, Buzzwords, and Acronyms, the C-Suite Debate. It's a webcast and panel discussion. My name is Lindy Antonelli, partner with Armanino and Controllers Council Board Chair. Thanks for joining us today. It's been nearly a year since we actually held our first webcast as we launched our community. So some of you are probably familiar with me as well as I've been moderating quite a few of these panels. Today we're taking a little bit different slant. It's going to be a little bit not as serious, but I think relevant, especially to the controllers and finance people that are in attendance today. So let's take a look at our agenda. We've got it up there on the screen. I'll introduce our panelists. Then we're going to go through some background on our sponsors. And then we're going to get right into our panel discussion with some key questions for our C-suite executives. And speaking of questions, we will have a Q&A. So please, in the GoToWebinar, there is a question section and you can actually type in your questions. You can feel free to type them in as early as possible. And then we're going to actually go through a ranking of our jargon and buzzwords and acronyms for this year, and then a little bit more information on the Controllers Council and some save the dates. So before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email with a link to this broadcast. Okay, it'll be archived. Again, please use the GoToWebinar control panel to ask questions. And surprise, webcast attendees can receive a special discount for Controllers Council membership. The code will be announced at the end of the webcast. Okay, so we've got one of our panelists here already, but I don't see that he's got the audio on. Jim, can you hear us? I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Thanks. Okay. Hi, Jim.
And I can hear you. Thanks, Lindy.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, your screen's dark, so I don't know if your video is not working. But
I did share it, so I don't know what's.
Okay.
Try to get that to work.
That's no worries. At least we can hear you.
It says people can see me, but okay.
So maybe your video. Do you have a little slide thing on your computer camera on your webcam to like hide it?
No, actually, so it should be okay. I'll figure it out.
Okay. So Jim's the CEO of VIA Strategy Group. He's one of our panelists. We're still waiting for our other panelists to join. So when they come on, we'll actually go ahead and click over to the next slide, please. And we are going to a little word about our sponsors. So, you know, without sponsors, our webcasts and programming and other activities and events that we hold would not be possible. So I do want to thank Avalara, the leading provider of cloud-based tax compliance automation solutions, and Focus, software for business intelligence, budgeting, forecasting, and financial statements. Bill.com, fully digitized AP and AR, no in-person approvals and no paper needed. And Euler Hermes, the global leader in trade credit insurance. And Flowcast, financial close management software and the controller's best friend. So now we've got a list of top jargon, and these are buzzwords. Before we talk about jargon, I did want to give you the definition in dictionary.com. Jargon is a noun, special words or expressions that are used by a particular profession or group and are difficult for others to understand. So, you know, we're in a pretty small circle here in finance and accounting, and we do have some jargon, quite a bit of it, and buzzwords that are very unique to our industry. So we'd like to, you know, kind of get right into that now. We do have another panelist that has joined Shannon, are you there?
Can you hear me? There we
Yeah,
go.
now we can. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, good morning.
So thanks for joining. Yeah, it's very early where you are. Shannon, thank you for joining us on your spring break from beautiful Hawaii.
Good morning. Good morning.
So awesome. Yeah, you look great outside. So we were just getting going on, some of the buzzwords here, and we've just got a list of them here listed alphabetically. Every function and industry really has their own vernacular. The legal industry comes to mind, of course, the medical industry, healthcare, but so too does corporate accounting, finance, and the C-suite. So we actually have been working on a list of, buzzwords and acronyms. We've got them alphabetically here. And we'll start with buzzwords first, and then we'll move over to the acronyms. But Jim, why don't you kind of get into a couple of buzzwords that you were interested in talking about, maybe Bitcoin, blockchain, and or cloud technology.
I will. You mentioned industries, Lindy, that were prone to have jargon. Technology has always been the winner for jargon.
For sure.
The first few on this list are, generally come from the technology, all of which affects what controllers do for sure. And I'll just touch on them briefly, but the first one listed is Bitcoin, and I won't spend a lot of time on that. I mean, that certainly can have some impact on, most people have heard of it, kind of know what it is. It's an alternative currency that's based on technology, on the blockchain technology, which I will talk a little bit more about. But Bitcoin is may come into play someday as a payment system in businesses. I'm not betting on it yet, actually. Color me
Armanino, our firm accepts Bitcoin as a form of payment.
There you go, Lindy. So does anyone do it?
Some do. We have cryptocurrency clients that highly encourage their vendors to allow them to pay in Bitcoin. So yes, we do. We have a number of them, a small number, probably under 50, but we do.
Well, Bitcoin is based on blockchain, and blockchain is a technology that was based on a paper that was written about a dozen years ago. And if you read it, it's very densely full of equations. But to put it in financial terms, it's generally referred to as a distributed secure ledger. And what they mean by that is that there are multiple nodes on the chain, hence the term chain. Each of those nodes can store Bitcoin, for example, or more likely transactions of various kinds. And those transactions are secured by 256-bit encryption. And in theory, being a skeptic here a little bit, the claim is that it's unbreakable. And there have been no significant notable breaches of blockchain, but I think everything can be broken at some point. But so I think blockchain will become far more prevalent going forward in terms of exchanging transactions between businesses and their customers in a more secure fashion. That's basically outside of the issue, of course, is that it's stored outside of the business. So there are some issues around that as well. And I can go into blockchain further if people have questions.
Well, I think it's a currency, Jim. I mean, even I've been seeing it, in this pandemic, we had a major coin shortage in the US.
Yes.
And they were, any retail store that I was going into for the last 8 or 9 months was saying pay by credit card or exact change.
Well, and obviously one advantage of Bitcoin as a currency is you can't touch it and infect one another.
That's exactly right.
It can get a virus of a different type, but that hasn't happened.